How's it going, everybody? Good evening. Welcome in, everybody. We probably won't wait because, yeah, let's just get right into it. I think we got a decent group of people. This lecture will probably be a bit abbreviated in length. Obviously, as you guys know, looks like we forgot to announce this one in advance, and as a result, a little bit less of a plan for the evening, to be completely frank and honest with you. So, I definitely want to make sure that we give you guys at least some sort of content that you're looking for this evening. Welcome in, everybody. Yeah, thanks for making it on 2 minutes notice. With that said, it's totally open mic. I think, let's see, you guys should be able to you guys should be able to unmute yourselves if you want. And really, I'd like to think that this is just going to be a quick open discussion. We can go through some Q&A topics. We can review some charts, kind of some midweek charting, and then probably call it a lecture. So I don't want to act like I have something planned for tonight. I really don't. We forgot to announce the lecture, so I didn't get a chance to plan and just realized that we didn't announce right now, unfortunately. But yeah, I want to open the floor. Like I mentioned, you guys are free to unmute as you wish, ask any questions. Anybody want to get us started? Anything that somebody wants me to cover again, or yeah, go start talking about? If not, we'll do some just quick chart reviews and then leave it at that if there's no topics you guys want me to cover. So anything on anybody's mind, any questions, SPY analysis? Yeah, we could start there. I think that's a great place to start. So right now, markets as a whole just hit new all-time highs today. Still completely confirmed uptrend. As a result, you got to continue to be looking for those longs. There hasn't been a reason to get short. I know in a couple lectures ago, I was on the same page with Tilio and expecting some kind of pre-election dip. However, there wasn't anything technical really confirming that at the time. We had this big kind of sell bar here that looked scary, but now we're back above it. So at this point, market is still in a complete uptrend. So yeah, I mean, by all factors, the market is moving higher. You got to continue to look for those long-sided trades. With that being said, some levels to watch out for in the future. We could probably run some fibs at this point. You got your 580 level coming up here, just a couple bucks ahead. That's always going to be an important one. Running some fibs here, though, I'll probably take it from these previous highs down to this swing low, and we'll run some extensions above. These are really the targets that I'll be paying attention to. So 580, and then at least as it relates to fibs, really that next fib target would be that 600 level on the SPY. But all in all, it looks like an uptrend wants to keep chugging higher until otherwise. But with that said, I mean, the market has been incredibly resilient recently. I mean, there's been a lot of kind of concerning events, including a massive election cycle. It's pretty uncommon for markets to be this strong into the elections, especially with all that we have going on in the Middle East, a rate cutting cycle beginning. So all in all, the trend to the upside in the market is still surprisingly strong. And breadth is also decent as well. There's a lot of other, we can just take a look at our breadth indicators here real quick. Market is still making net highs here. So we can see as shown by this net highs and net lows. Market continues to make new highs and also a nice uptick from yesterday as well. So decent expansion in breadth today. If we take a look at the advanced decline line, that one isn't making new highs yet. So still would like to see that expand just a bit higher for kind of that full confirmation of a nice, strong new all-time high, but really nothing concerning under the hood either. So all in all, solid breakout to the upside today on average volume. So maybe a bit of a red flag there, but that's about all you can pull from it. Yeah, I mean, the market continues to be strong to the upside. You got to play off that trend until it changes. Yeah, it's a good question, iPhone, and then I'll get to you, Armando. What two indicators are these, and how do you use them? So right here is the advanced decline line. So this is showing the number of stocks advancing versus declining in the New York Stock Exchange. And I don't remember the exact time period of that. I think this is just the total number of stocks advancing versus declining, if I remember correctly, in a given day. Maybe that's actually not true. I think it's cumulative. I think it's actually calculated over the period, if I remember correctly. So it should actually start, yeah, it starts right around zero for every period. So it's a cumulative total of names that have advanced versus declined over a given period. So you could see at the beginning of this period, nothing had advanced or declined because it's the start. And then as we kind of continue throughout the period, we could see the cumulative kind of change of stocks in the NYSE over time. So this is just an indication of breadth, right? What this is really showing is that what you want to see out of this line, the 80 line in specific, is that as price makes new highs, you typically want to see this line making new highs as well. Generally, that's a strong indicator of a sustained move higher and kind of a large, broad move overall higher in the marketplace. Then the net highs and net lows, yes, I think technically that's correct. That's a correct statement in saying that it's ADD as an indicator. Yeah, I think that's a correct statement. And then you have your net highs and net lows. So really this is just kind of a comparison histogram, or I think this is called the bar chart, where it just compares the number of names that made new highs on a given day versus the number of names that made new lows on a given day. And I believe this should be calculated over the 52-week period. So 52-week highs, 52-week lows. Same kind of idea behind the 80 line. Generally speaking, significant lows are put in when we see this number start to trend to the extremes, and we could kind of zoom out for the past couple of years to see where those extremes lie. Really, once we start seeing kind of this -3 to 500 area is when we start to see some significant lows be put in, and you can see that trend repeating over and over again pretty frequently. And then the real extremes are when we're at the kind of -1,000 area. And then also you can sometimes spot some intermediate tops based on these big peaks as well, which you can kind of see reflected around the +300 area. That said, generally speaking, as price hits new all-time highs, you always want to see net highs outpacing net lows. You wouldn't want to see more names making new lows on a day that the SPY hits new all-time highs. As you could imagine, that's kind of a negative divergence there, right? So if price is moving higher on the overall indices, yet we have a majority of the market moving lower on that day, that'd be a pretty big indication of weakness. So today, we have a majority of the market moving higher on the day and setting new highs, which is all totally positive. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Armando says, get a little review on how to select contracts. Yeah, so we talked about this a couple lectures ago. In terms of selecting contracts, right, there's just a general framework to be mindful of. So as a swing trader, generally speaking, you should be looking to purchase contracts typically with 2 weeks or more until expiration. As a day trader, you should generally be looking to trade contracts with anywhere from a day, 0 days to expiration, up to that 2-week mark. And as a scalper, you should typically be looking for contracts that expire the same day to trade. Those are just really, really general kind of rules of thumb in terms of expiration. Kind of the idea behind them is that as you extend the time until expiration, the impact of theta becomes less significant over that time frame. And as a result, you're not going to lose money just by holding onto that contract. And based on those different trading strategies, right, as a swing trader, it's built into your strategy to be holding those contracts for multiple nights. You want to minimize the amount of money that you're losing overnight if you can, because it's totally out of your control besides your contract selection. Now, in terms of strike, really, really high level guidance is, typically speaking, you should really never have a reason to buy a strike price any further than 10% out of the money. That's really is a super general threshold that applies to most expirations. For the most part, there's never really a reason to be trading contracts that far out of the money. There's always going to be a case, but for the most part, never really a super good reason to be trading contracts out that far out of the money. Now, a couple just other general pieces of advice. Me personally, I'm always looking for contracts on the chain that have the highest volume and highest open interest. Those two metrics alone represent liquidity in that specific contract. So as volume is high, or as volume increases and as open interest increases, that generally means that that contract is going to be more liquid, meaning that it's easier to buy and sell with a tight spread. So those bid and asks on less liquid option contracts can get pretty wide, meaning that if you were to buy the market and sell the market in the same instant, you would immediately be down a significant amount of money just due to the width of that spread. Whereas some of those tighter spreads are a bit more liquid, tighter spread, so it's easier to get in and out quickly. Yeah, that's kind of high level guidance. Obviously, I've had whole lectures on selecting contracts, and not just me, but other people too. So that's kind of the 1,000-foot view. Any questions, comments, or want me to elaborate on any of that? Cool. What other questions you guys have?
Calls or puts tomorrow.
Calls or puts tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, in general, right, trend is still up. We're getting a bit extended from the moving averages here. So at least as a swing trader like myself, I'm not as inclined to be taking any longs at this point, at least as it relates to the S&P. We're a bit extended from the moving averages. The ideal place to be getting in is typically right at these 10 and 20 moving averages in an uptrend, at least for me, or back at support. Another valid entry would have been a break of 575. So for me, it's a bit late. If you're day trading though, and we get any sort of pullback into tomorrow, great entry is going to be getting long around this 575, right at these previous highs. But my answer and my bias is still going to be long. The trend is still up, so you got to be paying attention to those trades following the trend. Qs are at a pretty key level here, right at 493. One to be cautious of at this previous higher high. Some individual names that I've been paying attention to. Meta is one we talked about in lecture a couple weeks ago. That one's still one of the strongest names in the market. Bit of a pullback today and definitely strong reaction off this 600 level. So not as important to me after this, and I guess I could clear all these levels off of, but still one to be monitoring. Also, NVIDIA, super, super strong and leading the semi-sector higher. That one broke out on Friday and still one of interest. But again, another name that's pretty extended in the short term. One I'm a little bit more focused on trying to get in on a pullback if it even comes. Let me fix this time frame because this is pretty ridiculous. So I don't know why I can't zoom. Anyway, mostly focused on the names exhibiting the most relative strength at this point in time. So that's going to be our NVIDIA. I think even AMD has been acting pretty decent as well. Decent moves out of Amazon recently, but still sitting below these moving averages. This finally might be ready to put in some kind of reversal. This was one that put in a bottom recently around this 180 spot. It's got this pretty clear downtrend to watch out for right here. And we just squeaked above it today, just barely. So I actually do like Amazon long into tomorrow. It's not super extended. Kind of the biggest red flag with this one is that it hasn't really been showing much relative strength. But from a risk to reward perspective, it's good for a lot of types of trades around this area, right off this 185 pivot. But that was a really long-winded way for me to answer that the trend is still up. So you should be looking for trades that are with that trend, which is calls, until otherwise. So if I was going to start looking to get short on the market, which I probably won't be, but if I was, it would be back below this 575 spot. Really hard to be short above that unless you're looking to top tick the market. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, pretty long-winded way to get there, but hopefully that helps a little more than just saying calls. Cool. All right, iPhone says, can I check out Starbucks sitting on the daily volume shelf holding the 96? Let's take a look. Yeah, so S-Bucks. I don't know what I have these levels on here for from previous times. Yep, Chen, I agree with you. Yeah, earnings on Halloween, so that's going to be a spooky day. We'll start by taking a look at the weekly on this one since whoa, what's going on here? Oh, that was when they got that new CEO. Okay. Yeah, so big material change in the business, obviously, recently, which ended up being an awesome double bottom here, which is quite the coincidence. If you're looking at the volume shelf, you're sitting right at the weekly point of control, 97.50. So going to be pretty difficult to be long under that. You're really going to want to see a weekly close above that before you get too much confidence to the long side. especially when you're right there. But I'll always label this level weekly point of control and show that label on the right. Taking a look at some of the longer term moving averages. Oh yeah, you're also right at the 200 weekly moving average. Yeah, so this is definitely, at least for me, a great place to kind of take my foot off the gas. You got the moving average and the weekly point of control sitting right at the exact same level. Not every day that happens, but definitely a great reason to be a bit cautious. This is one that I wouldn't get too involved with, especially considering these moving averages are still technically in the downtrend until we make it back above. Honestly, we make it back above this 97.5 with a weekly close. But if you were impatient and wanted to get in a little bit earlier, let's take a look at what that might look like. Let's probably zoom in here. There's definitely no doubt about it that this gap up is massively important. This is not something that you see every day, and certainly a really, really big deal. This is a material change in the way that this name is traded over the past multiple years. And with that, you have to be incredibly mindful that that does truly matter a whole lot. I agree with you in the statement that this is sitting on top of this weekly shelf, or excuse me, daily shelf at this point. Looks like the most important level to be watching out for is really this 95 area, kind of right off that pivot. So if you wanted to get long, you could off that 190 or that 95 area. Definitely trading in a little bit of a range though between this 95 and 96.60. So if you're looking to accumulate a long-term position, still not my favorite place to be doing that. Considering we're sitting right at the weekly point of control, I think the opportunities have been there to get involved a little bit ago. If you're trading something a bit shorter term, though, let's take a look at the EMAs. All right, so 10 and 20 EMA trend is just flip negative. So for me, definitely kind of a place to exhibit just a bit of caution. If I was day trading this one at this point, I would probably just wait to get long on a daily close above the 96.60 spot with a very significant target at 97.5. Next level above that to be mindful of is really just going to be probably this pivot right here, right around 98, and then up to your 100 area. But Starbucks as a whole, I think longer term certainly looks like it's putting in a very, very significant reversal. It's not something to ignore. Wait, what the hell time frame were we just looking at? Wait, was I looking at the 4 hour? Oh my God, I was looking at the 4 hour and I didn't even know it. Okay. EMAs are still actually positive on the daily. We still have that range to watch out for and same pivots, but EMAs actually are still positive on the daily. So it makes it a bit easier to get long on this one. With that, definitely would be interested in, if you're day trading, 96.60 is the place to get long above. Yeah, again, can't be more mindful of that 97.50 though. That one's a massive weekly level there. You get a weekly close above there and also above that 100. The green light is pretty much there for continuation, reasonably significantly higher. But yeah, overall, trend is still up, looks reasonably good. Just be careful with your entries here. They're going to be real important as we're trading so close to all these key, massively important levels. At 97.50 is incredibly important. Microsoft, yeah, that's been an interesting one. That's been a real weak name, kind of in the same boat as Google, where both these names just really haven't been able to hold much water ever since that top in mid-July. It's kind of been a name for me to stay away from at this point in time. Again, at least as a kind of swing trader, I'm looking for some amounts of relative strength in the short term, and we're just not really getting that on Microsoft. With that said, though, if I was going to be looking to get involved on this name, where exactly would that be? We are sitting directly below the moving averages here, so pretty hard to get long where it trades currently. But honestly, above this 422 area looks reasonable. We can check the 4 hour and see if there's any other sort of information for us. Yeah, even 420, if you really wanted to get long, 420 isn't a bad place to start that. Get a lot of volume coming in off this low, which looks okay, but it's just a name that's been showing relative strength for me. So I wouldn't be interested in trying to force along on this name. Honestly, I think there's other names that could be better opportunities to get long on and still kind of fighting that downtrend there, or I guess uptrend. You said you like puts under 418. Let's take a look at that. If you were going to get short on some big tech name, I think Microsoft is the best place to be doing that at this point. So you're saying under 418. Let's see. Under 418. Yeah, that looks generally reasonable. Under 418. I mean, realistically, 420 is the level to beat, though. I mean, that's kind of the line in the sand in the short term. So if I was going to get short, I would be trying to get short under 420 with a stop above that 420, likely on an hourly close above. But not super short interested in shorting the market personally at this point in time. Maybe even a bit of a downtrend for us to be tracking something like that. Maybe I don't know, kind of forcing that. Anyway, yeah, Microsoft definitely a weaker name out of the overall big tech basket. So something that I'm less interested long. Certainly, yeah, if you want to get short on it, I think there's possibility for that. Um, I would just say 420 is really the line in the sand there for Microsoft. Does that make sense? Why too, Ramsey?
Yeah, yeah, no, I got you.
That scared the hell out of me. I forgot that people could unmute their mics.
Oh, sorry, bro.
No, you're good. That's my fault. Any other questions though? Paul, you're here.
Not for me.
Cool. What else you guys got? We can take a look at more charts. Any concepts you want to cover? You got anything for us, Husky? All right. Well, if we don't have anything else, we can do a bit of just kind of review in terms of what's coming up for the week. Let's just take a look at economic events real quick. Stronger sectors. Let's see. It's mad that I'm using an ad blocker. Come on. Bro, how the hell do I get off this? Bro. Ad free. Okay, whatever. Yeah, we can do that. All right. So talking about a couple economic events. Today we had FOMC meeting minutes. Those came out at 11. Nothing incredibly notable came out of that. The market generally reacted pretty neutrally. Looking forward to the rest of this week, we have CPI coming in tomorrow pre-market. That's obviously going to cause a reasonably significant move. Yeah, I mean, for the most part, I think CPI is going to continue to get less and less significant. For now, we've been seeing some positive numbers coming out of the economic data, so shouldn't be anything too shocking, at least to the marketplace. But yeah, anyway, we got the hurricanes that are hitting the East Coast. Also, those port closures where maybe you could see some kind of interesting data coming in for September. Well, I guess not this current hurricane is going to be on that report, but maybe some interesting numbers we could see for September just as a result of that. But I'm not sure that port closure was significant enough to cause a meaningful impact. Dude, why is there so many things popping up? So frustrating. Anyway, looking into this week, that's what we got going on. Looking forward to next week, pretty light week on the data. Nothing incredibly significant. That's going to be too big of a reaction. So getting through tomorrow and Friday, just watch out for that data pre-market. Keep that in mind as we continue throughout the week. All right. One other thing is we could just take a look at some sectors here. So last week, or at least over the last week, technology has been the standout. We could take a look at some names that have been specifically strong in this sector. So let's go ahead and do a quick filter for that. So let's see last week. So winners over the last couple of weeks, we have PLTR, big standout here, just continues to hit new highs. MicroStrategy, which is a very interesting one, consolidating right at the highs. SMCI, apparently a good performer over the last week, but that's been a real unique one. NVIDIA, I think that shouldn't surprise anybody. We got some other small cap names on here. Affirm, Snow. Wow, ooh, that actually looks kind of interesting. Wow, maybe we could talk about that. Yeah, Snow, reasonably interesting. There was something else that caught my eye here on here, but I don't remember what it is. Oh yeah, Dell, interesting one. Let's take a look at Snow though. Actually, that one kind of stands out to me. This one has been an absolute loser for the last couple months. Wow, this actually looks incredibly interesting right now. Yeah, this is very interesting. So this one has been an incredibly hated name. I mean, this is sitting, wow. I mean, from the weekly time frame, this looks reasonably not great. But as of yesterday, that's a pretty significant breakout here. Um, yeah, real clear flat base. Yeah, let's actually draw this one out. This actually looks kind of interesting. Real big laggard, obviously. So this isn't one to bet the house on necessarily. But nice clear daily pivot here. Also another very clear, well-defined area of previous resistance. I'll just mark it right about there. Yeah, this actually looks pretty interesting. Big gap above two to watch out for. Obviously, this is going to be a place to be taking some trims. Up 5% today. Wow. Yeah, I wonder what caused this. Let's see if there's any news on this. Latest options trends. That's it. 53% bullish. Hmm. So a lot of interest in the weekly and next week 125 calls, allegedly. Well, that's actually pretty small. That's not super significant. We have a big trade on the short side, some sold to open puts. Okay. That's interesting. Yeah, so snow actually is one coming up on that scanner showing a lot of relative strength, big volume today. Again, it's a laggard, so it's something to kind of be mindful of. But this wasn't on my watch list going into tonight, but this actually looks really interesting here. I don't mind this at all. Yeah, I would not hate getting involved on this, especially, uh-oh, no annotations. Now you're going to make me have to figure out how to erase them all. That's no fun. Um, I don't know how to do that. I'm just going to reshare really quick. I forget how to get those annotations off. Sorry about that. Cool. Okay. Yeah, so snow actually is one that looks reasonably interesting going into the rest of the week. If I was going to get involved in this one, I would probably be looking to get long on a retest of 115, especially considering this is a laggard. You got a real easy stop under 115. So I'm actually going to set an alert there and wait and see if we can get involved on that. That looks kind of decent. Cool. Anything? We got SMCI. Let's take a look at SMCI really quick. Somebody asked about that. This one's just so hard because it's been so beat down. There's a lot of headwinds with all these fraud allegations that they've had facing them and whatever else is going on. It's one that I'd probably just prefer to stay away from at this point, just because of everything that's going on. And maybe that's going to cause me to lose out on some amount of gains. But it's just a hard one to be trading. If I was going to get involved, it would definitely need to be probably above this 48 to 49 area. Real clear resistance here. A lot of sellers that have stepped in multiple places or multiple times at this area. Yeah, it's just, I think there's better semiconductor names to be paying attention to at this point in time, especially ones involved in the AI kind of wave. Now, really, the cycle is moving into some of these power focused names. So you have GEV, which I believe is focused on powering data centers. I don't remember though. Let's just check really quick. I think I looked at this with Norman a long time ago. Yeah, so they do energy, and they're getting involved in the data center market. There's a couple other names. So I think really the real reason behind being involved in SMCI is it was kind of the, I guess, one of the token names involved in that kind of forefront of AI, that significant uptrend in the sector that started almost a year ago. And I think there's names that are better suited to benefit off of that. At least they don't have so much baggage that they're carrying along with them. I mean, NVIDIA is a real simple name. It's been showing relative strength. You shouldn't get any allegations like SMCI has received, and I think generally it's a bit of a safer bet as a trader. So that would be my preference. But again, NVIDIA is another name, a bit extended here in the short term, so it's not something that I would get long on immediately. Consolidation candles. Yeah, that's an interesting question, Husky. When you say consolidation candles, what exactly are you referring to? Are you talking about like inside bars like this, or are you talking about kind of a multi-candle consolidation zone or something like that where like okay, so you're talking about inside bars. Yeah, so inside bars, those used to be kind of one of my number one things that I would trade is inside bars. I think Tesla maybe had one recently. No. Um, what did have one recently? I'm trying to see if I can find one. I think Hood maybe is a decent example. Yeah, Hood's an okay example. I mean, today's an inside bar. Wow, what an entry off the open today on Hood. I didn't even notice that. Wow, this is a strong one. So, I mean, technically, this bar today on Hood, and I'll clean up this chart a little so it's a bit clearer. Technically, today is an inside candle on Hood. And there's kind of two ways to define an inside bar. There's some people who like to define their inside bars when this candle here, so I'll just draw a box around it. When this candle here, the highs and lows of this bar fully are contained within the highs and lows of the previous bar. So that's kind of one way to define an inside candle or inside bar. Another way to define it is when the body is within the previous body. So like, let's see if I can find another example of that on Hood here. I guess this would be an example, right? So the body of this bar here is fully within the body of this bar here. So in terms of trading these candles and kind of why they matter, I guess I'll start with why they matter. So obviously consolidation candles and just consolidation patterns in general are excellent for options traders for multiple reasons. Number one, it gives you a really easy place to define your risk, right? Any sort of consolidation, it's pretty easy to define your risk on a break below those lows and be able to get an entry near those lows or above whatever highs of the range that it's trading within. So that's the number one benefit, right? Real easy to define trades based off of any kind of range or consolidation. The second benefit is when price consolidates, that inevitably is going to reduce the implied volatility of that name, which as a result is going to make those option contracts cheaper. So when you do get some kind of breakout, that IV is going to have room to move higher and ultimately allow you to get a larger profit. Now, important to not necessarily be solely focused on the profits there. As always, risk is going to be the number one thing to be managing, which is why it's important to be able to think about those consolidation trades with the lens of easily defined risk. That said, in terms of identifying these inside bars, really simple. Kind of like I just mentioned, there's really two frames of thought or frames of mind here. I personally, when I'm trading inside bars, like to see both the highs and the lows fully, I'll say, enclosed within the highs and close of the prior bar. So for me, this would actually be an inside bar technically, and kind of two ways to trade off of this. I think honestly, after today, pretty obvious entry at these prior swing highs that came and went real quickly. Very easy to say that in hindsight, of course, but I mean, that is very textbook. With that said, though, when trading an inside bar, it's real damn simple. You'll want to be long above the prior high if it's a bullish inside bar, and you want to be short below the prior low if it's a bearish one. So for example, this inside bar here, you're going to want to look to get short below the low of that bar. This inside bar here, you're going to want to look to get long above the high of that bar. Real simple, and the same idea here, right? Here's a pretty nice inside bar. You're going to want to look to be long above that. You can kind of see how that worked out. Definitely an intraday retest and move higher off that level, but nothing that held for the long term. Same idea here, right? Nice inside bar. You're going to want to get short below the lows of that. Ultimately, we didn't get a close there on that day, so probably wouldn't have worked out fully. But yeah, does that answer your question, Husky? Cool. Norman, we got extra time today. What are some names you're looking at? We can take a look at some charts for you. NXE. Wow, this is Norman's new name. NXE. Shop. I'll look at Shop first. I've actually been looking at that one a little bit too. That's had quite the recovery recently. I've actually been pretty interested in Shop myself. Just haven't really taken an entry on it, but Shop's been a real interesting one. I think it seems like it's finally gained some momentum again. The ideal entry obviously being right back at these moving averages here, which I did not take that. Oh, here you go, Husky. Real nice example of an inside bar here. We can even take a look at this as an example as this one played out today. So looking long above those highs, we can see how that looked on maybe the 5-minute. Come on. Okay, we moved above that on the very first bar of the day, so a bit more of a difficult one. All right, NXE. NXE. What is this? Is this another one of these power electric generation companies? Exploration of uranium. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Yeah, this doesn't look too bad, Norvin, honestly. It's a cheap one, so you got to watch out for that. Definitely just recently coming out of what could certainly be a bottom forming here. This actually, from a risk to reward standpoint, doesn't seem like a terrible place to be interested in getting long, especially when you have this really well-defined weekly pivot sitting right below 650. No doubt in my mind, you'd want to be stopped out below that, which that's almost a 6% decline from current price. But it's consolidating real nice under the $7 area, honestly, Norvin. It actually looks decent. You could definitely get long at that $7 area. Moving averages have been holding up nicely as well, so not a bad place to be interested long. But it looks good, Orvin. Not a bad one. FTAI. Yeah, I mean, Norman, I gave you the entry on 522 on this one. 522. I told you to long on the retest of this level. So, I mean, this one has came and gone, my friend. 83% increase. Oh, you got in this time. All right, very nice. Yeah, that was a print fest. I mean, no other way around that. That's a print fest. Cool. Glad you made some money on that one. That seemed to be pretty simple for you. I mean, yeah, pretty damn simple there. You get long on the retest of this little base that it had formed, and you don't look back. Definitely not a bad place to be taking profits. So this is the second extension this far above the moving averages, and you got earnings coming up in a couple weeks. CCL. I actually got an alert for CCL yesterday. Wow. Yeah, I got an alert on CCL for the first time in a very long time yesterday. This one is actually somehow looks to be finally breaking out. I think I set an alert right at these highs, probably beginning of 2024 at this point. Yeah, this is a really big deal. I can't exactly say what is causing this breakout. Yeah, no idea why people are getting so fired up about cruise lines right now, but this looks great. Yeah, I mean, a weekly close above 20, if it gets it, is a very, very big deal. Yeah, this looks really nice for the long term, honestly. This is something that I'd be interested in at this point. Yeah, I got the alert yesterday on it. Didn't do anything about it because frankly, didn't think anything was going to happen, but I was sadly mistaken. Yeah, definitely any weekly close above this 1950, real damn easy to be long above that and have your stop loss below. That's a nice one to be watching out for. First target, you could have that right around 23. That'd be a 15% gain if you're getting long off 20, which is super, super reasonable if you have your stop right below. Oh, ports I didn't have access to. They're opening back up. Yeah, it's for sure a share trade, at least for me. This is something that I'd be much more interested in shares over anything. Yeah, nice find, Polanco. I like it. All right, Cart. What's going on with Cart? Yeah, this has been a crazy one. Recently broke those IPO highs. You said what happened today with it? I mean, frankly, nothing. Yeah, I mean, a little bit late to the party on this one, Norvin. Pretty nice consolidation over that prior swing high, right around that 40, right back into the EMAs. I mean, realistically, that was the entry there. At this point, you're really chasing it. This one's pretty extended from the moving averages right now. I wouldn't be too surprised to see this one hang out up here for a couple days, maybe even a week. Yeah, not interesting to me right now, but definitely looks strong for the future. And it's crazy. You can see when this trend really got going was right around here, all these massive buy days. Wish I saw that. That was so suspicious. Here, even here too. Anyway, yeah, people clearly want in on Cart. So this is a name that probably has some moves higher in the long term, but for now, I think definitely extended. Anything else you guys want to cover? SMR. Anybody other than Norvin? Crowd GLDD. Never looked at GLDD. What is this? GLDD. I have no idea what this is. I mean, from a chart perspective, it looks great. I mean, it just broke out from this massive base on the weekly. Yeah, I mean, an iPhone, you're asking finding names with a interest from buyers. This is I mean, what else was a good example? What were you just looking at? Cart. Cart is a real good example of what volume can do for a name. You look at the highest above average volume days, and it was this one here and this one here. But for the most part, when this trend got kicked off was all when we started to get some really, really significantly above average volume. And that's typically what kicks off any strong trend is above average volume. And it's real simple to find out. All you really need to do is you could just gauge what the average volume for a given name is just by drawing a quick line on the chart and adjusting. You know, obviously there's more scientific ways to do it. What I have is just a quick little indicator. It highlights above average volume yellow, which I don't know why it's not running right now. It was running on that other name, but anyway, because it's the 200 moving average, I think is what it's looking for potentially. That might be it. Anyway, what I typically like to do is really just, I mean, it's pretty easy to figure out what's an anomaly and what isn't, right? I mean, this is going to be an anomaly. This is going to be an anomaly. This. Obviously, all these high volume days. And pretty clear to see that on this breakout higher, there was a lot of volume from buyers supporting. So, I mean, and in my opinion, that's pretty simple. I have a whole lecture series, though. I won't be able to cover everything, but I have like a 8-hour lecture series on volume price analysis, which would definitely probably be the better direction for me to send you in, which I could help you find if you need help iPhone, but it's all recorded in here. SMR Norman. Sounds a bit weirder, but I mean, I guess it looks okay. Crowd is a very interesting one. This is one that had that big cybersecurity issue weeks ago, or months ago, I guess now. It's at a point where it looks to be rebuilding nicely. I don't hate it actually, because I think for the long term, the event that had transpired that kind of ruined their reputation in the short term is going to go away. They're still a leader in the industry. And I think honestly, the events that transpired ended up being a positive considering the fact that so many things went down because CrowdStrike broke, which just proves how important they are as a company. So kind of a different way of thinking about it. But obviously a chart like this takes time to repair. That said, it's actually looking kind of better than it has in a while. Recent trend flipping to the positive side now. You got a pretty clear pivot here right around this 300 spot. That shouldn't come as much of a surprise to anybody. Nice clear psychological level there. A couple levels in this gap that are going to be important here, and here. But honestly, don't hate it if it gets back above that 300. And that's something that I would even watch out for. Should you sell your AV Go shares? You got them when it sold off on ER around 130. Well, Norman, I can't make that decision for you, but this name did just run right into prior all-time highs. I think you're crazy personally if you haven't even trimmed a single share. Today seemed to be a day to do that. But in terms of selling your whole position, the trend's still up and you're in shares. If you're in there for the long term, I don't really see much of a reason to do anything except trimming at these all-time highs and move your stop up into profit. So there's no way you lose money on this. But yeah, I mean, it looks pretty great. Nice breakout on rising volume today. Yeah, really nothing to complain about on this name. It looks solid. What do we do with VST? VST. Oh, damn. Yeah, I mean, technically, this should be the place where you're starting to look long again. If you're trading price action, we're back at the EMAs. This, in theory, is the place where you should start watching to get long. That said, I mean, this thing is on a parabolic run, so I wouldn't. I mean, this is ridiculously extended from the weekly EMAs, so I wouldn't bet the house on it. But if you really want in, technically, this is a place to consider. Yeah, that's about all I have to say. It's not something I'd really touch right now. PLTR, I mean, this is another one. I mean, massive break higher today, getting close to setting new all-time highs. I think it's a couple bucks away at this point. Yeah, so 45 is that prior high. I mean, yeah, this one is definitely on a massive move here. If I was going to do anything on this one, I definitely wouldn't be entering long here. There's been multiple opportunities to do that. Here back at the moving averages, here back at the moving averages. At this point, it's really just a time to ride any positions that you're in. I wouldn't be the one chasing this higher until we get another pullback back to the moving averages. All right, last one, Norman. Last one, GPUS, and then we'll call it. Nah, man, this is trash. Nah, bro. Yeah, no, this is bad, bro. Come on, Norman. Really? I'm just even surprised this is on. I mean, what is this even on? This isn't even on the OTC market. What the hell is this listed on? Yeah, Norman. I mean, yeah, sure. Could you get lucky with this thing 10xing? Yeah, of course, but I'm not going to be the one to find out. Yeah, this is trash, Norman. That was the worst pick of the night. Norman's largest position. Dude, I mean, knowing this guy's luck, he's gonna probably thing's probably gonna 10x while he's in it, but I'm not gonna get involved with that. Yeah, IWM's an interesting one. Definitely in some kind of consolidation here. It's one to be watching out for. I think a lot of names in the sector are starting to make these kind of significant moves higher. PLTR is obviously no longer on that list, but some of your Shopify type of names, a firm, definitely starting to make some moves with some substance. So I'd be interested to see if IWM can get moving here in the next few days. Definitely, like I said, it's consolidating. There's no doubt about that. And it looks all right. He owns that stock. Yeah, I'm sure Norman is a 10% owner of that penny stock, and he doesn't want to be. Cool. All right, everybody. Well, I'm happy we were able to get some kind of a productive lecture. Sorry that we weren't able to get that announcement out early enough, and we'll be able to be on top of that next week. But with that said, I think that's going to do it for tonight. Yeah, any comments, questions, feel free to let me know. And with that, I'll see you guys on the lecture. And any of you, if you're in an area that's in the path of the hurricane, I hope you're able to be safe and everything goes well. All right, everybody. Thanks again for your time. Have a great rest of your night, and I will see you all in the next one. Adios.